Welcome back to the channel. This is what we will be talking about in this video. So after this introduction portion, you'll be watching a video that was recorded as part of an online course that I made. So if you like it, do check out my course. I'll have the link in the description, and you can see the link too at the bottom of this video together with my YouTube and Instagram socials. Alright, so enough with the introduction and let's get started. Alright, so now that you have tried this question on your own, let us go through. So for this question over here, they want you to solve the quadratic equation, right, using your quadratic formula. So what is the quadratic formula? This is briefly how the quadratic formula looks like. And in the previous video, I did show you this formula. So for those of you who already know the quadratic formula, I asked you guys to try it out, see whether you can solve it on your own. For those of you who don't know what a quadratic formula is, have not used it before, it's okay, no problem. We'll go through the quadratic formula and how to use it in this video. Alright, so let's start off with getting our quadratic equation first. So these steps are a repeat of what we did previously in the previous video. So nothing special, right? Basically just doing a cross multiply, right? And then getting the equation here, simplifying things, expanding them, right? And then you will end up with this equation, right? So if you're a little confused how I end up with this equation over here, right, go ahead and see the previous video, right? And over there I did share how I managed to get this quadratic equation. So the important thing is in our video here, right, after getting the quadratic equation, how do I solve it, right? So as of now, I've already shown you the way to solve it using factorization, right, in the previous video. Now, the second way of solving is actually by your formula, right, your quadratic formula. So over here, I'll show you the quadratic formula. So first things first, what is the quadratic formula? This is the formula, but what is the B, the A, the C referring to, right? You see a few alphabets here. So this A, B, and C is actually referring to the coefficient of your quadratic equation. What do I mean by that? So the quadratic equation has a typical form of this ax squared plus bx plus c, right? Where your a is the coefficient of your x squared, your b is the coefficient of your x term, and then c is just the number, right? And notice these are all plus. So that means if I have an equation like this, I can write it as y equals to x squared plus 2x minus 5 minus 3x, so using this one here, minus 3x minus 18. So over here I can deduce that a is actually 1, because although there's nothing here, but there is 1x squared, right? Because if it's 0, then it will be 0x squared, and then that means that there's nothing there. So the fact that there's something here, meaning there's x squared at least, then that means that a is actually 1. Next, I have my b being negative 3. Why is it negative 3? Because the coefficient of x is actually supposed to be plus b. So over here, I'm actually adding a negative 3, right? So I'm adding a negative number. So my b is actually the negative 3 over here. And then c is the same idea, right? I'm adding c. But over here, notice that I have a negative 18, right? I'm actually subtracting 18. So that means I've actually added, right? I've added a negative 18, right? So after coming out with your a, b, and c, we can then put this into the quadratic formula. So put it into this formula over here. And this step here is nothing but just doing substitution, right? Putting all these values of a, b, and c into the formula. So over here, I have a negative b. So b is already -3, so that's why I have a negative bracket -3. And then I'll talk more about this plus minus in a bit, but you have a square root, and then you have -b square, so -3 square, right? -3 whole thing square. So this over here, this is a very common mistake. A lot of students, right, they don't put a bracket. So what happens is they will write it as -3 square, and it's all fine and good if you know that you're supposed to take -3 multiplied by -3. Right, the problem here is that students will just punch this into the calculator, and your calculator is not as intelligent as you think it is, right? A very common mistake made by the calculator is that the calculator will mistaken this as you trying to square the 3. So it will take the 3 times the 3 first, which is 9, and then add a negative sign in front. So instead of taking -3 times -3 to give you 9, positive 9, you are getting a -9 instead. And that is because you don't have the bracket. If you have the bracket and you punch this whole thing into the calculator, your calculator will have no problem realizing that you actually want to take -3, multiply by -3, and it will give you 9. So just highlighting a common mistake that I see here. Okay, so if you're good, let's continue. So this is -4ac, right? So -4 times a times my c, and then below is over 2a, right? So 2a. Then I can simplify this. So over here, I'm actually simplifying this to show you what is the effect of this plus minus. So if you already know what this plus minus is, right, you can actually put this whole thing in the calculator, do the plus first, and then later on put this whole thing in the calculator with the minus. So let's talk about what this plus minus means. So every time we square root a number, right, actually you will have this effect of a plus minus. And the reason is because, right, when you square root a number, right, so for example over here, if I square root 9, I'll actually get 3, right? But because of the plus minus in front, this means that I'll get a positive 3 or I'll get a -3, right? And this makes a lot of sense because if I square root a number, right, I should be able to square this answer that I get and get back the original number, right? So if I take 3 and then I square it, which is 3 times 3, I do get back 9, right? And that's quite logical. And at the same time, if I take -3 and I square it, so I'm taking actually -3 times -3, I also will get 9, right? So that means that when I square root 9, actually I can have two answers, right? I can have the positive 3 or I can have the -3 as the answer. And this is why whenever I square root a number, right, I have to put this plus minus sign. So let me park this one side. So this is why you have to, when you square root a number, right, you have to put this plus minus sign, because you can have the positive answer or you can have the negative answer. And the explanation is because of this. So with that, that's why over here, when you are actually going to square root whatever this is, right, you will have to have the positive 1 and the negative 1. And because of that, right, that's why you will get this as one answer and this as a second answer. And that's why in your final answer, you will get x equals to 6 or x equals to -3. Right, and this makes a lot of sense because in quadratic equation, and in fact we have already solved this in the previous video, right, you will get x to be 6 and x to be -3, right? So you are expecting two answers for this quadratic equation because you have already solved it using factorization, and those are the two answers that you get. So I wanted to use this to prove to you that both factorization and using the formula will give you the same answer, and that over here this is valid, right? You should have a positive root 81 and a negative root 81. Alright, so if you're okay with this, this is how you use the quadratic formula to solve your quadratic equation. Thank you for watching till the end of the video, and I hope that you have learned something. If you did, don't forget to give this video a like and comment on one thing that you like about the video, right? Also, please help to share this video and subscribe to the channel because that will really help me a lot, and your support means the world to me. So if you don't like the video, no worries. Comment and let me know what you didn't like about it so that I can improve and I can change in the next few videos. Alright, so that's it. Thanks all, and I'll see you in the next video.